It's been a while since I posted a video. I've been doing a lot of things on the car. Some of the things I really dislike doing is tucking wires, which seems to be a never-ending thing. I've got the firewall kind of cinched up here with some zip ties. We'll figure out how to get that concealed. I might put some sort of plate or something like that, something out of metal on the firewall. But I got the computer under the dashboard for the ECU, and I literally don't have that set up yet because I'm waiting on my vintage air order. Obviously, I don't want to cinch up everything and then put that air box under there and have clearance issues, so that's just kind of cinched under the dash. But I actually wanted to talk about this fuel pressure sensor, which I mounted right there. And I was skeptical about mounting it there because if I spring a leak over here, it's going to go right down the valve cover to my header. But with that said, you'll see where the fuel pressure, the line comes into the fuel bar anyway. So I mean, I just want some feedback on that. I may move it. Very simple to do, but that's where I'm at right now. So let me know what your feedback is on that, anybody. I'd appreciate that. But there's how it looks as of right now. Everything's set up pretty nice inside the car. I just acquired a new digital dashboard from Dakota Digital, and I'll turn that on right now. This is the retro look. It's pretty nice. My fuel sending ground isn't set up right, so I get this obnoxious alarm every time I start the car, and you just have to hold that down to clear it. But it's pretty wicked. You know, you can select the colors you want, and gives you a nice little heads-up display. I waited probably close to 6-7 months for this. I want to say, let's see, I ordered it in April. The first time I canceled my order. So yeah, it's been 7 months that I waited for this thing. I'm pretty happy with it. It's got a tachometer, oil pressure, temperature. Obviously the fuel light says empty because I've got a ground line to track or something to track. Battery, miles per hour, and you know, I have a Holley Terminator X Max, so if anybody that's done this before, there's a module. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it under here, but that's the Dakota Digital input system. So if you're running a stock engine without a Terminator X Max ECU, you can manually run in all these wires. But I've got, oh man, let's see if I can show this. I have this little box right here. I don't know if that video is going to work, but that little BIM box splices or has a splitter right off the main Terminator X Max. So I don't know if you can see this under here, but it's got a splitter. Okay, so you're able to run your standard 3.5-inch touchscreen there, which I'm going to display down here on my center console when I get that all put together. But you can still run that in conjunction with this, and it doesn't seem to have any issues doing it. I would imagine if I want to hook up my PC, I'll have to get a splitter. So I'll basically have 3 outputs off that harness. I don't think there's going to be a voltage problem, but I'm running 2 right now. 1, 2. This is just for display. This is the actual programmer, which I connect and disconnect. So it's pretty neat. I'll fire it up. Tachometer. Now you can set up the lights in the colors that you like to display. And then there's a little heads-up display over here which you can cycle. 0 is my fuel level. Turn signals, which also display just like the old car. So that's it right now. Appreciate anybody's feedback if they see anything they would like me to fix, adjust, add, delete. Something I really did stupid. Plenty of things, I'm sure. But I guess I could talk to another point here. I did put a Melling high performance fuel. I'm sorry. A Melling high performance oil pressure pump in there, more volume based, but I was having low oil pressure. So, you know, when you get those issues, this motor did have 100,000 miles on it when I bought it owned. I don't know if it's got the OEM cam. It was straight out of a Corvette. But when I dropped the batwing pan, I did notice one shaving in there that kind of looked like a thin piece of string cheese. But I didn't see a lot of flakes. But once I got this thing running, that was a concern of mine, and I dumped the oil. One time, I saw some additional flakes in there, an additional piece of shaving. Cleaned that out, and then I dumped the oil yet again, so this has probably been in the course of 1,000 miles. And I cut the oil filter open, and I saw some flakes in there, and you know, like panning gold, there's some flakes in there. You can see them. So leading back to why I put the high performance oil pump in there, I was sitting at hot idle with synthetic 5W30. My oil pressure would dip down to 7 psi at 700 RPMs. Cruising down the road at 1500 to 1800 RPM, I would see about 13-14 psi, and then probably no more than 25 psi up at RPM, maybe 30. I never really ran it hard, and I never really wanted to overdo it. But once I got that Melling in there, my startup oil pressure, cold startup, I'm seeing 43 psi at cold startup pressure on a summer day. So we'll say 80 to 85 degrees ambient temperature. Idle warmed up engine, I'm seeing 19 PSI for the most part. And then once I start driving the car after a while, and I would say probably hot oil, I would see as low as 14 PSI. Yeah, 13, 14. So I want to hear anybody's feedback on that. My understanding is in this 2001 engine out of this Corvette, oil pressure didn't display the same as actual pressure. It was a normal high-low scenario, so the gauge would adjust accordingly to the RPMs on the engine. But anybody that wants to speak to that, let me know what they think. I think I probably know the answer. My cam bearings are probably going. You know, the end of the road there is ripping out what I just assembled here and got running. But it's okay. You know, with anything, there's always winter and there's always time to tear it down. I just don't want to spend 10 grand. I might spend a few thousand to do it, but we'll see how things go. And I'm curious about your feedback.